All right, so Scott, why don't you talk to me? Let's have a conversation about how a client can be responsible with filing a claim, how there might be some benefits to them, quality of the policies, making sure things get done accurately. And then on the backside, let's tie in some of the things that Streller Agency does to help the client through kind of the claims process.
So the claims process right now is very strange, as is most of the world. We have body shops that are backed up for months. If you have a wreck today, there will be some shops that tell you they can't get you in until April or May.
What about home? We've covered auto before. Let's dig in a
Yes,
little more because a home claim, like with the ice storms last year, we had that client with the wool carpet that got ruined in one room, but we had to total out the whole thing. That would be a good example. Or about maybe how we've had the one client where because of COVID and extenuating circumstances, it took a year and a half and an extra $20,000 or whatever it was
yeah.
for supplies. So
So as we head into storm season, it's a good conversation to be having about the claims process, because I think the whole world is fully aware of all of the supply chain disruptions and delays, and most people are somewhat up to date on increased lumber costs. Um, Pre-COVID, an OSB sheet of lumber for plywood decking on a house was $9 to $11 a square. It's been as high as $55 a square during COVID. And so what this means for the customer is oftentimes, well, I'll use myself as an example. We ordered windows a year ago, and they're still not here. Some windows, not the whole house, but 3 or 4 windows are. And they first told us it would be in the fall, and then it was December, and now it's March, and I've already paid for them. And so everybody's waiting. And what that does is that drives people's irritation levels up, and it drives the cost up. And it also makes the agent's job more important, because there needs to be communication with the customer and the claims adjuster to these delays, because most policies will have a certain amount of time that you have to get the work done or they won't pay for it. So you have to call, and you have to have a good relationship with a good company paying the claim to say, hey, we need an extension because we're waiting on lumber or we're waiting on shingles.
okay.
We had one claim recently that due to COVID, it took about 9 months to get the roof done from start to finish. It normally would be a 2 or 3 month process. It was a big house. And during that time, lumber costs increased, and the decking alone ended up costing $20,000 more than the original estimate. We paid the claim. We just sent the receipt and explained that lumber had jumped, and we got the claim covered.
What would have happened in a normal scenario of that? Like that was best case scenario turnout. What were some areas that could have gone wrong because it took so long? And even though it's all extenuating, where could some errors have popped up that people want to avoid?
Well, I think it's really important for the customers to, one, hire a good contractor that will help you navigate the process, and two, have a good agent and a good company. There are some companies that will, um, find ways to honor the contract and nothing more, and be very black and white and not have much grace. And other companies will be a little easier to deal with. I think we're in that category. Not just me saying it. J.D. Powers ranked us number 3 of all the insurance companies in property claims last year, and Kiplinger's had us number 1 of all insurance companies. So it's not just me, the salesman, talking. It's the people who rate companies. But I think it's like most things, communication. There needs to be good communication with the adjuster, whether that's the agent doing it, the customer doing it, or the contractor, or a combination. A lot of the Norman hailstorm, we had people that had windows broken out. We had guttering, we're waiting on guttering, waiting on windows. This storm was now coming up on 8 or 9 months old, and we still don't have the products in to make the repairs, and they've subsequently been hit a second time, although it wasn't as bad in the fall.
I've got a story on that. One of my buddies, his dad used to be a farmer's agent, so he's familiar with insurance, and then he owns a construction and roofing company now.
Yeah.
He was doing this new roof down in Norman after the spring storm, had half the roof done, the rest of the supplies in the driveway. He was coming back the next day to do it. the people that had parked their new Mercedes out on the driveway, like on the curb. New storm rolls in, knocks out both cars, all the supplies, the roof that was half done. So it's now another claim stacked on top, all within like 3 months of each other. So Oklahoma just makes things crazy.
Yes, and a car claim.
Yeah.
Yeah, the way the world is right now makes our job as agents even more important, because there has to be good communication as to why is it taking so long for this claim. The insurance companies want to get the claims closed. They want to pay and get to the next claim because they get stacked up. So whether it's property or auto right now, there's just delays and delays and delays. And so it's just important to have somebody to talk to help you navigate the process.
Perfect. I like that. What are some ways that people can inquire about a potential claim without opening a full one? That way it doesn't ding their record. How do you suggest people navigate kind of the iffy situations where it might be something, or it very well may have been just a little hail and the next storm would knock out the roof, or scenarios like that?
We get the calls quite often where somebody says, I don't want to turn a claim in. I don't want it on my record, but I want to know if I have damage. Or my teenager backed into a pole and I don't really want to turn it in because it'll drive my rates up and they'll probably have another wreck, but I want to see how much the damage is. And in those kind of cases, we advise the customer. Let's take, for example, you get hit with maybe a hailstorm. It's not real big hail, but you're curious to know if there's damage and you don't want to climb up on that 1212 roof and risk your life to look, or you may not know what to look for. So in that case, we would hire a reputable roofer, or not hire them, ask them to go out and inspect the roof. And keyword there is reputable, because you don't want, you want to know the truth. And if there's damage, you want somebody that can verify, so you don't have to get up there and decide if there's damage or not. And same thing on the teenage driver. If it's just a bumper because they ran into a pole and it's, say, $1,500 and they've got a $1,000 deductible, do you really want to turn a claim in on a teenage driver for $500? And so most people would say, I'd rather pay this one myself. I'll save it for the bigger ones. So those are the kind of value-added things that we as an agency do for people. That many people don't understand the insurance process. People in Oklahoma are more educated because of our weather than most people in other parts of the country. Most people in Oklahoma know they really don't want to turn in a claim unless they have a claim. But some people don't. They just call their insurance company every time it rains, and then they end up oftentimes getting canceled, and they've got a bunch of claims on the record, and trying to get them a new policy is really tough.
Okay, so you jumped in there and you were like, a couple claims, it might non-renew you or cancel you, and it might make you ineligible for the next company. That's going to be worst case scenario. Are we trying to avoid that by being due diligent and helping the client? So like we're kind of protecting them in as much as we're trying to protect farmers?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it all goes back to the golden rule. Do unto others as you would want somebody to do for yourself. So if a client calls me, I'm going to consult with them and tell them what my opinion is, and with the idea that I'm trying to protect them from hurting themselves.
Sure.
And at the same time, if there's damage, we'll get it taken care of. And so we can never tell a customer, don't turn a claim in.
Sure.
We can tell them, for example, we'll use wind and hail because that's the most frequent. If you get hit with a hailstorm and the roof isn't leaking, you've got time. The shingles might be bruised, they might be damaged. It could very well be a total roof, but unless it's baseball or softball size hail, it's probably not put a hole in your roof that's going to leak. So, for example, we're coming into storm season. If somebody gets hit the first week in March, we may go ahead and turn the claim in if it's what I call a mid-sized storm. Or we may say, you want to just wait till June or July because you may get hit another 2 or 3 times. Who knows? It's Oklahoma and we're coming into springtime. And so each case, it's a case-by-case situation with each person. How many claims do you have right now on your record? How old is your roof? What are your plans for the house? Every person is different, and our job is to give them the best advice we can. and treat them like we would want to be treated if we were on the other side of the phone. So.
Perfect. No, I like that. I like how you take time to add in the human element, and I've seen you interact with close friends and close family that are clients, and I can say that a new client coming in off the street and one that you've had for 28 years, they're both treated with the same respect and care and concern, and that's always been the standard.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. This is my ministry, man. This is my baby, and I got in this business to help people. I'm coming up on 30 years this year, and I still enjoy it. I still like helping people. Farmers allows me to help people because I'm an independent contractor, not an employee. Like a lot of insurance agents are employees of the company. They're really not. They're handcuffed. They want to help, but the company won't let them get involved. Farmers allows me to get involved, and I'm thankful for that.
Perfect.
So.
Yep. Let's wrap it up right there. Love it.
We're getting pretty good, man.